Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our lesson on defense. Now, in my personal experience, I've found that defense is, without question, the most difficult part of bridge. It's very different to declarer play because with declarer play, obviously, a declarer is in complete control of what partner's hand can do. But in defense, of course, we have to rely on some communication with partner to be able to get our best results. Now, not everything is in a declarer's benefit when it comes to playing hands. One of the things that defenders do have over declarer is that defenders always know when a suit won't break. So that's something that you should always keep in mind when it comes to defending, is that sometimes declarer doesn't know about the tough shock that's going to happen to them later on in the hand or when they start playing trumps, especially if trumps are 4-1. So let's go through some procedures in which to create some sort of mantra when it comes to defending. And then what we will do is we'll start discussing things such as selecting opening leads. We'll also look at principles along the lines of lead, low, like. We'll also look at discards. We'll have a look at some other important aspects of defense that require communication between you and partner. So there's several different parts. One of them is obviously principles, and that is, for example, let's talk about listening to the bidding. So everyone, quite often, and I found this in my early days of playing bridge, that if you were able to listen to the bidding and start to think about what you're going to lead as an auction develops, it means that once you are on lead, or you do happen to be on lead, that you can make that decision a bit quicker. And rather than sitting and waiting for an auction to finish, if it's obvious that a hand belongs to the opponents, then it's a good idea to listen to that auction and start to build a picture of what declarer and dummy's hands will look like. Now, if you listen to the bidding and there's some clues, or there will be some clues in relation to suits that declarer bids, one of the things to avoid quite often is actually starting off by leading an opponent's suit. Now, there's obviously exceptions to that, and that may be, for example, if you're leading against a trump contract and you want to lead a singleton. But if, for example, you're trying to work out what will I lead against this contract, listen to the bidding. If the opponents have bid a couple of suits or even 3 suits, there's every chance that you should probably be selecting the unbid suit as your choice for the opening lead. So listening to the bidding is important, everyone. Don't get too stuck or don't dwell too much on your own hand. Yes? So, but we're going to have auctions where the opening lead is going to be completely blind lead. So for example, what if an auction goes 1 no trump, 3 no trump? That in that auction, the opponents haven't bid any suits. So you could select any one of the 4 suits to lead from. But there is some inferences in auctions where the opponents bid 1 no trump, 3 no trump. And that would tend to be in relation to the holdings in the major suits. If the dummy hand has not used Stayman, then it's likely that the dummy hand won't have a 4-card major. So if that's the case, then your lead should lean towards selecting a major suit when the opponent's auctions go 1 no trump, 3 no trump. Let's also look at the area of leading partner suit, or lead directional overcalls. With lead directional overcalls, everyone, I would only choose a lead directional overcall if I was at the 1 level. Lead directional overcalls don't occur or shouldn't occur so much at the 2 level, because any overcall at the 2 level should tend to be a good hand or an opening hand. But overcalls at the 1 level, you can be a little bit more flippant about them. Now, overcalls at the 1 level, I like to say that either you need a good hand or a good suit. So it's possible, and I certainly encourage people to do this, overcalling at the 1 level on as little as 7 high card points, provided that most of those points, or nearly all of those 7 high card points, are in the 5 card suit that you're overcalling. Now, don't try and do this at the 2 level, because at the 2 level, quite often you'll be left holding the baby, or that will become the contract, and you may be careful what you wish for. If you become declarer overcalling at the 2 level on a weakish hand, you're likely to go down, or another option is that partner's likely to overbid, expect more. So overcalls at the 1 level, or lead directional overcalls, are almost like the first shot for the defenders. You're doing it, making a lead directional overcall to get partner off to leading that suit at the opening stage. And it's always a good idea. In fact, I will put that towards the top of my list of choices of opening leads, is partner's suit. And there's an obvious reason for that. A, because you're leading from probably your hand, which will be the weaker side, towards partner's hand, which will be the stronger side. And we all know that that is a vital part about declarer play, leading from weakness towards strength. So the same thing occurs, obviously, with opening leads and choosing an opening lead in partner's suit. Okay, let's look at working out the points. When it comes to working out the points, quite often, if the opponents especially have bid to game, you can be pretty confident roughly of the number of high card points that declarer and dummy holds between them. So, of course, there's only 40 high card points in the pack. And if you can subtract your total from 40 plus the opponent's, that will leave you with some sort of point range for partner. And that can often guide you which way to go in defense. So, for example, if the opponents open 1 no trump, you know they're 15 to 17 points. If you add up all of the points on the hand, and it turns out partner's point tally might be something like 2 to 4 points, it's not likely that you're going to be playing partner for an ace out of that 2 to 4 high card point tally. But there's other times when partner's tally may be higher, and you can start to put the points together and say, well, it is possible for partner to hold this card. Points are always a good indicator when it comes to whether you should make what we call a passive defense or whether you should make an aggressive defense as well. Okay, let's also go on to looking at working out the distribution. Working out the distribution is about, for example, when declarer has bid 2 suits. More often than not, when declarer bids 2 suits, they tend to have a 5-4 distribution. Now, that's not always the case, but quite often it is the case. And if that is such, then it means that they have a maximum of 4 cards in the other 2 suits. So these are the types of pieces of information you should start to take into account. Also, when dummy, for example, has shown a 5-card suit and declarer doesn't raise that suit, then it's likely that declarer only has somewhere between 0 and 2 cards in that suit. All of these things are very important when it comes to building a picture of how a defense should operate. Let's also look at watching partners lead. Okay, this is a very important principle, and I'll come to it time and again in this lesson. And what it's about something called lead low like. Now, lead low equals like means that if partner leads a low spot card, that is a 2, a 3, or 4 quite often, you will find, if you look around the table, if that looks like a low card, it means that partner likes the suit. Now, against a trump contract, there can only be 2 reasons to like the suit. A, you've got an honor card, ace, king, queen, or jack, or B, that you've led from a singleton. Because if you'd led from a doubleton against a trump contract, you would have led high, low. So the principle is that if a low card hits the table, in fact, partner's opening lead is a low card, then you're going to expect one of 2 things. Either they've got a singleton or they've led from an honor card. Now, what I want to do now is spend a bit of time on selecting opening leads or choosing the right opening lead and going through reasons as to why that is a good idea. So let's look at leading partner's suit. Well, we discussed that a moment ago, and we discussed one of the effective reasons for leading partner's suit is to lead from the weaker side towards the stronger side. And if that's the case, then quite often partner can cover any cards that pop up in dummy, or they can take finesses against dummy. That's why I always like to put partner's suit at the top of the list when it comes to leading against trumps and no trumps. Another lead, obviously, which we'll come to, which is towards the top of the list. Now, these leads that I've got here on the page aren't necessarily in order of importance, because obviously singletons are one of the most important leads against a trump contract. Let's keep going with partner's suit. Let's look at, if partner bids the suit and you hold in partner's suit, King 6 3 2. Which card do you choose? You choose your fourth best, which is the 2. If you're holding in partner's suit instead, on the next line down was Queen 3 2, then you would choose again to lead the 2. Now, here's a controversial one. We've got 9 6 2. And for a lot of you that are familiar with mud leads, that is middle, up, down, you would probably think you should automatically choose to lead the 6, which is the middle card. Now, that would be the case in an unbid suit. But when partner has bid the suit, the most important bit of information that you can give to partner is the count of the number of cards you have in that suit. So if you lead a 2, partner's going to instantly know that you don't hold a doubleton. Now, this can be vital information, everyone. So even with 3 small cards in partner's bid suit, don't choose to lead mud, choose to lead the low card, because partner can then work out that you don't hold a doubleton. Now, partner won't know whether you've got an honor or not, but we're hoping that partner can work that out from the honors they hold and also what happens between declarer and dummy. Let's look at Queen 2. So here you've got an honor in partner's suit, but you've got a doubleton. So it doesn't matter if that doubleton is Queen 2 or it's 9 4. On each of these occasions, you should always lead the top card of the doubleton. Now, old school bridge used to suggest that whenever you held an honor in partner's suit, it didn't matter whether you had 2 cards, 3 cards, or 4 cards, you should lead that honor. Well, that's gone, everyone. Not many people stick by that principle these days. So have another look at this in the area about leading partner's suit, and you should choose to lead a count card whenever given the chance, whether you've got an honor card or not. Now let's look at leading top of an honor sequence, trumps and no trumps. For many years, we spoke about whenever you had 2 cards in an honor sequence, that you should lead the top of that sequence against a trump contract, but against no trumps, you tend to need 3 cards to lead the top of the sequence. Now, as time has gone on, and there's a wonderful book that was written by Tafernaeus, and it's simply a book based on statistics. And what he did was he churned out 10,000 hands for every single situation, and he decided that whenever you were confronted with a lead against no trumps, and you only had 2 cards in your honor sequence, that you should choose to lead the top of that honor sequence with only 2, if it was ace king or king queen. But what he found out was when the honor sequence started with queen jack or jack 10, you really needed the 3rd card in the sequence, or it was best to have the 3rd card in the sequence to lead the top of the sequence there. So what I'm suggesting is if you had queen jack, it would be good for you to have the 10 with it. Then you would select the queen. If you had jack 10, it would be good for you to have the 9. You could also have something that we tend to call a near sequence. And I'll write that up on the screen here. These are examples of near sequences. So king, queen, 10 is a near sequence. Let's look at holdings headed by queen, jack, and jack 10. Queen, jack, 9 is a near sequence because the 9 is only 1 card away from the 2nd card. And the jack, 10, 8. These are all what we call near sequences. So these near sequences are good enough to lead the top of that sequence whether it be against a no trump contract or a trump contract. So we'll go over that again. Against a trump contract, you only ever need 2 touching cards in an honor sequence to lead it. Against a no trump contract, then if your honor sequence is headed by ace king or king queen, then there's a good case to lead the top card from only 2. But when the honor sequence is headed by the queen, as in queen jack, or the jack, as in jack 10, then you would tend to need the 3rd card in the sequence, or what we call here, with these 2 holdings, a near sequence to lead the queen or the jack. So that that's something that you perhaps can go over again yourself, just to get a bit of a handle on selection when it comes to honor lead sequences against trumps and no trumps. Let's have a look at this area of mud. Now, actually, just before we do that, there's an example here, example of an interior sequence, Queen 10, 9, 3. Now, interior sequences is when the sequence starts inside of the suit holding. That is something like Queen 10, 9, 3. Other interior sequences might be holdings such as King, Jack, 10 there. That would be the card you would lead. Even holdings such as Ace, Jack, 10, you would tend to lead the Jack. Holdings such as King, 10, 9, you would tend to lead the 10. These are all examples of interior sequences, everyone. Let's rub that out. Let's continue on with what we were discussing a moment ago, or what we started discussing, which was leads of mud. Now, muds still are effective leads. It really is an effective lead, but a mud isn't always the case, especially as I suggested, when partner has bid the suit. So mud is good for an unbid suit. It's even good for leading dummies suit, because quite often you're leading through dummies strength. But don't choose mud when it comes to partner's lead. Now, what's mud all about for those who don't know? I'll give you an example. So if your holding was 9, 6, 2, the problem that you face is that if you lead the 2, partner's going to think you like the suit. Yeah, because they agree with the principle of lead, low, like. So we can't lead the 2. So that's off the choices. If we were to lead the 9 here, and then you would have to follow with the 6 or the 2 after that, partner will instantly think that you've got a doubleton. So we can't choose that either. Now, the best choice with 3 small cards in an unbid suit or dummy suit is to lead the middle card. So that's where the start of mud is. Now, if you followed with the 2 next, yeah, partner would probably think that you hold a doubleton, which is fair enough. So what we do is that the 6 tends to send a signal. If the middle card sends a signal to partner, I don't necessarily like this suit, because partner's going to wonder where the other missing lower card is. And that's why I'm starting with the middle card. I'm then going to follow with the higher card up, so that partner doesn't think, so this is 1, 2, first card, second card, that I've got a doubleton. We'll then continue with the lowest card, and partner will know now when it's gone middle, up, down, that my holding was from 3 small cards. So that's where the whole idea of middle up down comes from. And middle up down is not a bad choice of a lead. It's quite effective. It's also quite effective when it comes to leading through one of dummy's bid suits or leading an unbid suit. So let's continue on. 4th best from your long suit against trumps and no trumps. Well, you are allowed to lead 4th best even against a trump contract, especially when there's no other lead to make. Now, there was a hand that came up yesterday when Klinger and I were playing on BBO. You may have seen it, where the opponents ended up in 3 no trump, and I had an opening lead from King Jack to 5. King Jack, 8, 4, 2, and I chose to lead from that holding. Now, that might have been a lead that I would have avoided had it come to leading against a trump contract. But because it was against no trumps, you should always tend to select 5-card suits with length and strength. And the more honors you have, the better. Against a trump contract, because I held King Jack, that is often not such a good lead to make, because it means that declarer, as long as they hold the ace and the queen in either hand, simply will be able to pick up a trick in with both of those cards, whether they play the queen in dummy or whether they play the let the ace duck in dummy. So with holding such as King Jack to 5, this is probably a bit of a dangerous lead against a trump contract. Does that mean you should never lead against a king in a trump contract? No. In fact, if I didn't have the jack, if my second card was the 9, yeah, I wouldn't be so nervous about leading this suit. In fact, I might actually choose to lead this suit even against a trump contract. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about singleton leads. Singleton leads versus a trump contract. Singleton leads are right up at the very top of the list of leads. In fact, I have a friend who is often quoted as saying that if you don't lead a singleton, it means you don't have one. So even if it's in declarer's suit or second bid suit, that's all fine. Singletons in dummy's bid suit, even better. But a singleton lead is a very effective lead, and it should be something at the very top of your list of choices. Let's continue on with other short suit leads, and that is doubleton leads. Are doubleton leads effective? They can be. Back in a number of years ago, people used to frown upon doubleton leads, but doubleton leads can be effective, especially if you yourself hold, the ace or the king of trumps in declarer's trump suit. Why is that an important part? Because it means that the doubleton lead can be almost effective as leading a singleton, because you'll know you're going to get in again and be able to continue the suit whilst you still hold trumps. So I'll go over that again. Doubleton leads can be effective, especially if you yourself hold the ace or the king of trumps. The reason being is that you will get in once declarer starts playing trumps, and you can lead that suit again for another go at trying to void yourself in the suit, and you still hold trumps in your hand. So doubleton leads can be quite effective leads, everyone. Now, this is quite a controversial area, in the area of trump leads. I'm not a big fan of trump leads. And the reason I'm not a big fan of trump leads is because, for simply this reason. When you lead a trump, you are leading declarer's suit. Now, we only get one shot at an opening lead. Trying to be able to fire some sort of salvo for the defense on the opening lead is important. If you're going to be leading trumps, then essentially what you're doing is you're saying to declarer, here's the lead, you take it, you go about playing the suits you want to play. But if you're a defender and you lead one of your suits, you can actually start setting up tricks in your suits. That's why I believe that trump leads are not a great choice. Also, quite often what happens with trump leads is that you can sometimes pick up honor cards in partner's hand. You could perhaps pick up a queen. You could even pick up a jack in partner's hand. That is, declarer wouldn't necessarily know the location of themselves. However, there are times when I would choose to lead a trump, and it's not when I want to choose a negative or a passive lead. A lot of people say that you choose a trump when you don't have anything else to choose. That would not be a reason I would choose a trump. I would choose a trump because I think it's going to be the right lead. So let's write down an option here. 1 heart, 1 spade, 2 clubs, no bid. Now, what are we expecting here in the dummy hand, in the heart and the club suit? So if I was to look at the dummy, in hearts, it's almost certain that dummy is going to have either a singleton heart or a void in hearts. And in clubs, I think it's almost certain too that the opponents are probably going to hold normally 3 cards. That might be an honor 3 times or 4 times. What do you think is going to happen in the declarer play? well, declarer is probably going to attempt to trump any of their losing hearts in dummy. How can you stop that? Well, you stop that by attacking the trump suit and leading trumps every time your side gets in. Because for every one of the trumps you lead, you take out two of declarers, or you take out one of dummy's trumps. So if a club was led against this hand, instantly one of the clubs would be gone from dummy. If declarer plays a heart and you win it, what would you play? Another trump. And suddenly declarer is left with one single club or trump in dummy, and you've actually achieved your purpose of cutting down declarer's roughing power or trumping power in dummy. And that would be a time I would choose a trump lead, especially if I believe I'm going to get a shortage in dummy and normally only 3 cards. Let's look at some defensive principles when it comes to the mid-game switches and how they change. There's a question here from Ruth. You're unlikely to win with the six of a suit, so you're talking about lead later in the game. I think that was in reference to the mud question, Ruth. I'll get you to rewrite that question, and maybe I can tune into what you mean. So let's continue on here with defensive principles in the mid-game. Now, whilst on opening lead, if you have an honor, and if that honor is, let's say, nothing more than a jack, you would tend to, and you intend to lead that suit, you would lead the 4th best card, whether you were leading away from the jack or whether you were leading away from the queen or the king. So partner knows you've got an honor, but they don't know how high that honor would be. In the mid-game, when it comes to switching, one of the things that we should look at is whether you want the suit returned or not. Now, if you had a jack in the suit, you may not want that suit returned. But if you've got the queen or a king in the suit, we would tend to always then stick to the principle of low like, high hate. So if you really want the suit returned, lead your lowest card. If you don't want the suit returned, lead one of perhaps your 2nd highest card. One of the spots that will tend to put a seed in partner's mind that partner doesn't really like this. So if your perspective was from partner's seat, if you were to lead an 8, for example, it doesn't look very high. So partner would then think, okay, well, that's high hate. But if you led a 3, partner will go, well, my partner wants that suit returned. Now, you don't have to stick to 4th highest in the mid-game. Yep. Simply lead what we refer to as attitude leads. That is, high hate, low like. We talk about here about ducking dummy's long suit. Now, this is probably a whole lesson in itself, in that partner can teach you about, partner can tell you about the number of cards they have in a suit. And that is something that we call count. Now, count is a way of telling partner whether you have an even or an odd number of cards on any given hand. And one of the reasons for telling partner that is that sometimes it's possible that when you are a defender with an ace, you can hold up a number of times to cut the communication between declarer and dummy. What do I mean by that? So let's say the layout of the suit is something along these lines. Dummy has king, queen, jack, 10 and another. And partner has the 9 and the 2, and you hold the ace, the 7 and the 6. If declarer plays a card, and let's say you play high-low for a doubleton, if partner plays the 9 on the king, you may duck. If declarer now continues with the queen, you duck again, because we know by counting the cards around the table that dummy has 5, you have 3, partner has 2 once they go high-low, and declarer then obviously has 3 cards. So if declarer has 3 cards, what's going to happen? They'll play the 3rd round, you win the ace, and all of declarer's cards are gone. Dummy's 10 and another are winners, but declarer has no communication to get back to dummy. That's what we refer to when we talk about ducking in suits. And that will rely on partner and you having an understanding when it comes to what we call count signals. So I don't want to dwell too much on count in this lesson because I think it's more important to understand the more basic principles. And the more basic principles tend to be along the lines of lead low like, also about encouraging partner. Under leading aces on opening lead, everyone. Ooh, this is a scary area. A robot did that to me yesterday, if anyone was watching. They underled the ace of diamonds against my contract. Wasn't happy with that robot. But it's something that you shouldn't do. If you're leading against a trump contract and your suit is headed by the ace without the king, don't lead that suit. If it's headed by the ace with the king, of course, you can lead that suit. If it's headed by the ace and any other honor or no honors at all, simply avoid the suit. And one of the reasons for that is so that partner can trust you. And that's a big issue at the bridge table. If you are constantly leading low away from aces against a trump contract, how is partner ever going to know whether you have the ace or not? So if you lead a low card against a trump contract, partner will know from that low card that you like the suit and that you must hold either the king, queen, or jack in that suit or a singleton, but you won't hold the ace. Okay, let's look at discards here now. Everyone, with discards, and a discard is when you have to throw something away when declarer is perhaps running a suit. Now, don't waste that signal. Don't waste that signal. You must send a message with that signal to partner, especially, and I think it's a very good idea to send it through what we call an attitude signal. An attitude signal means high or low encourage. Now, if you've never played this before, then you should probably select high encourage first. And what do we mean by high? We mean the spot cards, that is 10, 9 down to a 2. If you play a 10 or a 9 or an 8 or a 7, that will tend to say to partner, I like this suit. If you played a 2, it would tend to say to partner, I don't like this suit. Now, the reverse applies if the signals you play are low encourage. But I warn you that if you've never used attitude before, then don't start off by playing low encourage because partner won't often notice your card. So if you are used to it, I think that low encourage is probably a superior method. Here's another method here they call with discards, it's called McKenny or suit preference, where a high spot card, again, 10, 9, 8, 7, a high spot card, would show interest in the higher of the other two suits. That is, declarer is playing spades and you throw the 2 of clubs. That will tend to say to partner, partner, I prefer the lower of the other two suits, which is diamonds. Partner, a declarer is playing spades. You throw the 7 of clubs. That will tend to say to partner, partner, I prefer the higher of the other two suits, which would be hearts. And then there's one here called odds and evens, which is what Ron and I play, where an odd card is encouraging in that suit and an even card McKenny. Now, I don't think you necessarily need to play either of these two bottom methods, McKenny or odds and evens. If this is something new to you, stick to high encourage or low encourage. The same theory applies to following suit to partner's lead. If you like their lead, play an attitude card. If it was high encourage, you would play a high spot card. If you don't like their lead, you would play a low spot card. Okay, so let's move on. I've got some hands here that I have set up for you. So let's just stop the share. Let's go to a new share. And we've got the hands set up already here on the computer. Here we go, everyone. So, and please, I want people to be involved. Ask me some questions and give me some ideas about what you would do or which card you would play when I pop these hands up on the board. So let's look at the option. Kerry's asked questions. Some seem to use high, like, and low, loathe. Yep, same thing. High hate, low like, just two slightly different words. But yeah, and that's fine. And certainly, I would say that is the case when it comes to leading, very much as in switching, mid-game switches, etc. When it comes to signaling partner, remember you're telling partner whether you like or dislike what they have led. So if partner leads an ace, for example, and they lead the ace of hearts and your holding is queen 8-2, if they've led the ace, then it's likely that they also hold what? The king. If they hold the king, should you encourage partner to lead that suit? Yes. If you were playing high to encourage, you would play the 8. If you were playing low to encourage, you would play the 2. Now let's take away the queen here. Let's say you're defending against a contract and partners led the ace in a side suit. So if they've led the ace in a side suit, that ace would be from ace king. And if your holding was 8 and 2, then you would, if playing high encourage, you would play the 8 and followed by the 2. And if you were playing low to encourage, you would play the 2 followed by the 8. Okay, let's look at this hand in question. North opens a diamond, so that's a dummy. You overcall a heart. Pretty disappointed that eventually you become the defender in 4 spades. South bids 1 spade. Now, they had a choice between bidding 1 spade and doubling. For the purpose of this hand, we've suggested that a double would show exactly 4 spades. 1 spade would show at least 5. Some more questions here. Arlene, did you ever lead an ace without the king? You may lead an ace without the king if it's in a suit that partners bid. In fact, yesterday that happened. Partner opened a diamond. I raised to 2 diamonds. The opponents went to a heart contract, and I held ace 4 times in diamonds, partner's suit. But because I had so many cards in the suit, I decided that an ace would be a good choice. So I did lead the ace when I didn't hold the king, but that was partner's suit. Another question here from Christine. One of the early examples, the bidding was 1 heart, 1 spade, 2 clubs, no bid. Isn't the change of suit forcing? Very good question, Christine. The change of suit is forcing, but there's some of those hands where you are the responder and you pick up, 6 points or, a frisky 5 points, and you decide you're going to reply to partner's opening bid. And when partner ends up bidding a suit where you've got a singleton or a void, what happens is that you may think, well, I don't want to get too high on this hand. I've got a very minimum hand, around 6, no more than 7 points probably. And even though partner's change of suit would tend to be forcing, in that instance, you may choose to pass because you simply don't want to get too deep on the hand. So there are occasions when you do, or you can pass a change of suit. Collins also asked about, can you lead away from an ace in the mid-game? Absolutely. Now, why can you lead away from the ace in a mid-game, but I suggest never to do it on opening lead? Well, because once dummy's gone down, you can see a lot about a hand. You're able to work out whether it's safe enough to lead away from an ace or not. So mid-game, you're able to lead away from an ace, but you still stick with the principle of lead, low, like. Okay, let's continue on with this hand. Partners led the 2 of hearts. This is what I mean about developing a mantra. Let's study partner's lead. What does the 2 say? The 2 is low, yeah? It's in your suit. The partner's lead is lead, low, like, okay? So let's continue on. We're going to win this trick. Now we have to decide, how should the defense go from here? Well, let's count the points around the table. How many points do you have? 15. Dummy's got 18. That's already 33 points. And South responded. So South's got about, 6 points, or 5 or 6 points at least 5. So partner can't have much over there. Partner's not going to have the king of diamonds. So it looks like the declarer can easily run the diamond suit and throw away any of their losing clubs. So I know that we can probably take 2 hearts on this hand. Maybe only one partner might have led from a 4-card suit. But there's something I do know about partner's opening lead by studying the 2 of hearts here. and that is that partner either has an honor or a singleton. Now, either way, that means that I can get partner on lead at trick 2. And if partner's on lead at trick 2, they then may be able to play a club through the king to your ace queen. So you can see that you have a win-win situation here. Either partner's got a singleton or they hold the jack. So at trick 2, you should select a low heart, in fact, a suit preference low heart, the 4, to say, partner, when you get in, partner, I want you to lead the lowest suit back. So you lead the 4 of hearts, partner wins with the jack, and partner now gets the hint, leads a club through the king, you win the queen. Yeah, Helen's actually asked a question here. Wouldn't partner just be leading your bid suit? Yes, that is true, Helen. There's a bit of a risk in what I did then, because partner might have had 3 small and declarer might have had doubleton jack. But normally, especially if it was an unbid suit, then we would be able to rely on partner having the jack here. Did I take a risk? Yes, I did, but I was aiming to defeat the contract, and the odds were heavily in favor that partner held the jack or a singleton. So here they lead a 1 to your queen, you take the ace, you lead a 3rd club, the declarer wins, and now declarer claims their 9 tricks. So that was a question of reading partner's lead. Now, admittedly, it was in my bid suit, so it's possible that partner doesn't hold the jack, though we're just simply leading a count card. Here in this instance, the odds were that partner did hold the jack, or they held a singleton. So that's why we chose to lead a low card back. Well, we know that by cashing ace and the king, we would never have defeated the contract. True? Because the most number of tricks you could ever take on this hand would have been 2 hearts and the ace of clubs. So this was our only shot to defeat the contract. Let's have a look at hand 2. Hand 2 here. So South's opened a spade. Sam's asked about, would partner lead mud? Well, earlier in the lesson, Sam, what I said was, you shouldn't lead mud in partner's suit. Partner needs to know about the count of the suit. They don't really necessarily need to know about the honors. The count is far more important. So if your partner was to lead a middling heart, like a 6, you wouldn't know whether partner's got a doubleton or not. And in fact, you probably would certainly know if partner led the middle card from 3 small, that you would have no chance of defeating this contract. So that's why with partner's suit, you should always select the count card in that suit. So here, the option's gone. 1 spade from South, 3 hearts, Bergen raise I chose on this hand. So 10 to 12 high card points and 3 card support. I will have a lesson on Bergen raises, everyone. I must admit that Bergen is not, or this particular bid in Bergen is not my favorite bid. The necessity to jump to the 3 level or take your partnership to the 3 level with only an 8 card fit. But it's also more effective to play Bergen raises than to not play Bergen raises. So I've given you a Bergen raise hand here in this instance. Declarer is now bid 4 spades, and that's the end of the auction. Partner leads the 3 of clubs. Again, let's study the lead. 3, lead low like. What do we know about this lead? Well, partner likes it. Why do they like it? Either they've got a singleton or they've got an honor. Well, we can see all the honors. We've got the ace, the king, the queen, jack, and the 10. What about thoughts? What should we do from here? Anyone? We're definitely going to win the ace. And how do we continue? Nominate the card from the east hand. Any thoughts? Well, I think we're pretty certain. Thanks, Jan. Jan suggested the 2 of clubs. Any reason, Jan, you would choose, well, A, you're choosing a club because you know partner's got what? A singleton. But any reason why you would choose the 2 of clubs, Jan, rather than the 9? Jane's chosen the 9 of clubs. Now, Jane, tell me why you chose the 9 of clubs. Just answer this question here from myself. Yesterday you opened a major and you said 3 clubs. How did we know it wasn't Bergen? Mentioned you said 3 clubs. I'm trying to recall the exact option yesterday. Jane says, I want a heart return. Very good, Jane. So what Jane's suggesting is that it's the club that you play back when you know the partner's going to trump in that will tell partner which of the other suits to return. Well, partner's not going to return a trump. Partner doesn't have any clubs, so partner's choice would be to return a heart or a diamond. So the higher one of the cards you play back, this is an area in bridge we call suit preference. The higher the card you return means I want you to return partner the highest suit. I mean, this would be terrible news if partner returned a diamond and they didn't score their second club right. So that's why we simply return the 9 of clubs. And when partner trumps in, they know you want the highest of the other 2 suits returned. And the highest of the other 2 suits out of hearts and diamonds is a heart. So partner returns a heart. You win the ace. Then you are in hand to play another club for partner to trump in. That's the first 4 tricks for the defense. Easy set. Well, partner tries the king of hearts now. Well, declarer trumps in and claims the rest of the tricks. So what did we learn about that hand? What we learned was lead low like is a very important principle when it comes to the opening lead. And the other thing we also learned was something called suit preference. So when you lead a card for partner and you know they're going to trump in, the card you return should tell partner which one of the other 2 suits you want partner to play back. If it's a high card, partner should play back the high one of the other 2 suits. If it's a low card, your partner will play back the lowest of the other 2 suits. So if you had had the ace of diamonds instead of the ace of hearts, you would have returned the 2 of clubs. Okay, let's move on to another hand. Okay, here you are as south, and when the bidding has gone 1 diamond, club past 1 diamond, and you've overcalled 1 heart. Left-hand opponent has bid 1 spade, right-hand opponent's bid 2 spades, and that's the end of the auction. Peter just asked a question. Don't you have to have 4 cards as responded to use Bergen? No, actually you don't, Peter. If you were to bid 3 clubs or 3 diamonds, both of those bids show 4 cards. If you were, however, to pick up a 3-card raise with an invitational hand, you would simply jump shift in the other major, and that promises only 3 cards with an invitational hand. So that is the one exception of when you don't require 4 cards for the Bergen raise. But as I said, we'll have a Bergen raise lesson at some point soon. So here we go. Partner's 9 of hearts. Let's read the lead. Partner's 9 certainly looks like it hasn't come from a 3-card holding. The partner's either got a singleton 9 of hearts or they have a doubleton heart. So we're pretty confident with what's going to happen here in the heart suit. If they've got 2, which is the more likely holding, dummy has 3, you have 5, declarer has 3, which means that you can win 2 hearts. If dummy plays the king, you win the ace. If they play low, you win the queen. So you can certainly win the first 2 tricks in hearts and deliver partner a heart ruff. But there's no hurry for that. Why? Because you've got the ace of trumps. I think it would be a great idea at this point in time to play back a diamond after you win the first heart, to play back a diamond so that when partner does eventually get in, they can deliver you a diamond ruff. So that's the far-sighted plan on this hand. Don't simply look at the first few tricks. Let's look at the tricks after that. We've won the Queen of Hearts. Now, as I suggested, no hurry in playing another heart here because you've got the ace of trumps. To simply play a diamond, voiding yourself in diamonds. Partner can read from your 4 that, and without the king missing, with the king missing, that 4 was probably a singleton. So you're able to trump in. Now you continue by playing the ace of hearts. Partner continues the echo of their cards. And it's really important to do that, everyone, to train yourself, not only to watch the opening lead, but to remember what card it was and to see the subsequent play in that suit. So partner led 9 of hearts, followed by 4 of hearts, which is a doubleton. And now we can deliver another heart and partner will trump in. Partner plays another diamond here, but the king is dropped. I'm going to try something here where maybe I can trump with the ace of trumps and see if I can give partner one more spade heart ruff. But no, declarer's got all the high trumps. So declarer takes the rest of the tricks here. But we've defeated the contract. What did we learn here, everyone? We learned here again, reading partner's opening lead. When they led the 9, it was likely to be top of a doubleton. Let's try one more. Okay. The auction, everyone, has gone 1 diamond from east, 1 no trump from west, 3 no trump from east. You had to select an opening lead on the north hand. Obviously, you're going to lead from your longest suit, which is spades. Now you have choices of leading the 4th best spade, which would be the 8, or in a better choice is the interior sequence, which is the 10 of spades. So even if you didn't hold the ace, if your holding was king, 10, 9, 3, 2, you would also choose to lead the 10. Now that is important, and it will become very important when you see the holding in this suit, because as we continue to play, declarer plays low, and partner also follows low, but it wins the trick. What does that mean? It means almost certainly the partner's looking at the queen. So you continue another card in the suit, and you drop declarer's ace. Well, you know declarer would have won the queen on the previous trick, and you're now very confident that partner's got the 3rd spade, which is the queen, and can get back to your winning spades. Now declarer is a bit desperate here, so they're going to start running the diamond suit. So far, so good. Now, let's have a quick look at partner's hand. With partner's hand here, declarer is now going to play another diamond. It's very important here that you send a signal to partner that partner, I like this suit, because partner will also have to make discards on this hand, and they're going to come under pressure. They may not know which suit to play. Which suit to keep? Should they keep hearts or should they keep clubs? So what you need to do here, everyone, is make a discard that sends a message to partner that says, partner, I've got this suit covered. If I've got this suit covered, you can throw it away and you should cover the other suit. So which suit do you have covered? Well, you have clubs covered. So one of your 2 choices, I think, could be either high in courage or low in courage. High in courage, with high in courage, you would play the 8 of clubs, saying I like the suit. With low in courage, you would play the 2 of clubs. So I'm going to choose low in courage on this hand. I'm going to play the 2 of clubs, and declarer is going to follow suit. I'm going to switch back to partner's hand. Now partner knows you've got a good holding in clubs and you've got that suit covered. Partner can count how many discards they have to make, which is 3. And they want to keep all of their spade winners because that's the key to defeating the contract. But they also don't want to unguard the queen of hearts here. They want to keep queen and 2 small hearts. So the 3 discards the north hand should make are the 3 cards here in clubs. So let's do that. Let's throw a club on the next diamond. Partner also throws a club. You continue to throw clubs on the north hand. The last diamond, you also throw the clubs, and now you've got the hearts covered. Partner's got the clubs covered, and declarer has not much choice here and chooses to play the ace of hearts and the king of hearts, hoping the queen will drop. Well, it doesn't. So now declarer goes 1 down in the contract. And if declarer had played a club, partner would win the ace and play the queen of spades back to your king, and you'd take the last 2 winners. What was the key on this hand, everyone? The key on this hand was having an agreement with partner about our discards. Now, you can play some very, very simple methods, but the discard it should be the first discard you make. It should carry a message to partner. Partner, I like this suit. I hope that's information that can help you. And partner on this particular hand said, well, that certainly was information. And you must have an agreement with partner too. Partner, what are the discards we play? Do we play attitude? Should we play a high in courage or low in courage? Or should we try some other slightly more complicated method like McKenney or etc.? But make sure you have some sort of signal with partner, because that will help you in defending. Remember, defending is hard work. So Sally just asked, will you be providing a printout of these hands? Everyone, there was a printout linked. There's a button that you can click on the invitation each morning. So there's join webinar on the invitation, and there's also print to the lesson notes, and that's a link straight to the lesson notes, which you can print out. I encourage you to print them out too, everyone, before the lesson, because then you can actually have a quick look and you can see, actually, sorry, Sally's asking about the hands. I can give you some of these hands, but another way perhaps is to just go back through the video that you have here that we sent to your inbox, and you can re-watch these hands. I'm very happy to include the hands on these notes, but you might give me till tomorrow to do that. Everyone, thank you. I hope you enjoyed that. Tomorrow there's a lesson about not just overcalling, but responding to overcalls, because I alluded to it earlier in this lesson that one level overcalls can be made on quite weakish hands. So responding to an overcall is very different to responding to an opening bid. So tomorrow I'll give you some guidelines on how you should respond to an overcall and how it is different, very different to responding to an opening bid. Everyone, thank you very much, and we will see you tomorrow. Thank you.